In the early days of X-ray machines, vendors sold their systems with a minimal profit. They made their real money on consumables. The X-ray film, the same approach we use for laser printers and cartridges. When sales of X-ray film started to fall, the company turned to the sales team for an explanation, and they said, the other vendor has a better product, better resolution, lower cost, faster processing. But when product managers talked to actual doctors, they learned something else. The competitor's film had a watermark that said, this side up. Here's the essence of product strategy: understanding customer problems and solving them by leveraging your capabilities in ways that competitors cannot or will not. Of course, it's obvious that we need to know and understand the customer, but which customers? Who are you listening to? You get lots of feedback from recent buyers via the sales team. And you probably get some feedback from your customers. But unless you're doing win-loss analysis, you probably aren't hearing from your competitors' customers. And then there's the do-it-yourself people who are assembling their own solution, usually because no one has built a complete, ready-to-use product. And what about non-customers? They're not even shopping for a solution, even though they probably need a product like yours. Consider the firms who sell through distributors and dealers and storefronts. Who is their customer? One sales team believed they had loads of market information. They listened carefully to the store owners and demanded features the store's salespeople wanted. But not one had had a conversation with the final buyer or end user and were blindsided by a new competitor who understood the customer who actually used the product. You might sell through a direct sales team who may sell to distributors, who may sell to dealers and sell to buyers. However, your customer is not your salespeople, distributors, or dealers. Ultimately, your customers are the ones who buy and use the product. So follow your product through its journey to the end. Starting around 2009, analysts and resellers insisted that Apple needed to offer a netbook, a sub-$500 device with a stripped-down operating system and applications. Netbooks were initially popular, but this market pretty much disappeared after Apple introduced the iPad in 2010. Surveys consistently tell us that direct customer feedback is the source of the best product and feature ideas, followed closely by brainstorming with your product team. Teams that engage with customers directly are 105% more likely to report that their products and features are consistently well received by customers, according to the Product Excellence Report from Product Board. Engaging customers directly is critical for product managers. Yet Teresa Torres, author of Continuous Discovery Habits, wrote, "Almost every day I meet product managers who spend little or no time talking to customers. They think experiments belong in science labs." Every customer conversation is research, if you learn from it and write it down. It's important to talk with the buyers to understand what's important to them when they buy a solution, and also make time to chat with people who do the work, the people who will use your product. More than interviewing, observe your customers doing their work. Watch them use your product. Show me how the work is done. From the customer's point of view, imagine the power of using the customer's words in your discussions with executives and the technical and go-to-market teams. Margaret Mead said, "What people say, what people do, and what they say they do are entirely different things." Personal experience with real people is the key to understanding problems to solve. You'd be amazed at what you see when you observe people in the workplace. A product manager was getting a tour of a machine shop. There were dozens of machines from multiple vendors. Each had model numbers and serial numbers and documentation for troubleshooting and repairs stored somewhere. The solution was to use QR codes unique to each machine that brought up the relevant documentation in the repair person's tablet. A few years ago, I was volunteering at a local charity. I told the office manager I was kind of a computer expert and asked how I could help. She was so relieved. "We just don't have very many technical people here," she said. So she set me up to work setting up computers, installing software upgrades, getting the printer connected to Wi-Fi. But while I was doing that, I heard this rather charming group of volunteers swearing. When I asked why, they said, "Oh, this donor database is filled with Mr. and Mrs. records." Now, I've been in computers my whole life, and Mr. and Mrs. records is not a computer term. I asked them to show me the issue, and sure enough, they had Mr. and Mrs. records. What I figured out was that somebody had imported a bunch of donor data, and wherever there was an ampersand in the title, like in the record for Mr. and Dr. Russell Smith, all the fields were off by 1. I wrote a quick script to put everything where it belonged and showed the new script to the volunteers, and they went crazy. In seconds, they were all bringing up bad records and fixing them and shouting hooray every time. Yogi Berra, the baseball great, purportedly said, "You can observe a lot just by watching." And he's right. In my example, the manager and volunteers didn't recognize the problem. I observed it by watching. But here's the thing. Customers don't really know their true problems or the ideal solution. It's your job to discover them. That means don't just ask what they want. You must discover their problems with interviews and observation. You can't just take feature requests. You have to understand the problem they're trying to solve. Listen for product and feature ideas with anybody who engages with customers. Like, what types of support calls are you getting, and for what issues? Ask customer support. What types of challenges are your professional services teams encountering? Ask. Do the coaches in your training classes have convoluted ways to avoid product confusion? Go watch a training session and find out. These are all valuable insights to guide next release decisions. In the end, to succeed, products must solve problems that are vital to the buyer, or else they won't buy it, valuable to the user, or else they won't use it, and viable for your business, or you can't continue to offer it profitably.